Hello people, it's the Secret Anime Fan here. Today's video is a video on Attach. This video will cover his story and act as an overview of his character. Expect things like obviously his story, his history, things like that, his abilities and his personality. And hopefully this will educate some of you if you're not familiar with One Piece. But even if you are familiar with One Piece, you may still like revisiting this character with me. Or you may have never even heard of this character because this character is pretty minor character. So expect spoilers for the anime and manga, but don't worry. I will try and keep them to a minimum, but there definitely will be spoilers. So if you're not prepared for that, then stop the video now. So let's get started. Attach, despite being a minor character, is actually pretty important in the One Piece series. In a sense that is him and Big News Morgan. Attach is a photographer and we don't know much about him, but we do know at one point he decided to join the Marines, but not as a foot soldier, but as a photographer. Now it's unclear if he had to go through Marine training or if he had the ambitions of being a Marine soldier, but either way, he ended up joining the photography department of the Marines, which is cool to know there even is one. He assumably rose through the ranks and eventually became captain of the Marine Photography Department, which I'm assuming means leader and not rank of captain that you'd find in the foot soldiers part of the Marines. So why do I say he's important? Well, let's find out. We first know of Attach's presence when it's mentioned that Attach was at Enies Lobby, which is one of the strongholds in One Piece, along with the Marine headquarters and Impel Down, which is a prison. He was there when the Straw Hats invaded Enies Lobby. Now, this comes from the data books, which for the life of me, I can't find English translations. I've tried to buy it online. I just can't find or get my hands on an English translation, which annoys me. He was the one to photograph Frankie, Robin, and Chopper, and of course the great Sniper, Soldier King. And these photos were used for their bounties. Now it's not mentioned that he got Zoro's photo, so he might have got that as well. And it must be noted he was unable to photograph Sanji as he forgot to remove the lens cap, which, if some of you remember, devastated Sanji, and it was definitely a funny moment. He is next alluded to just after Enies Lobby arc when he managed to persuade Nami to pose for a photograph, tricking her by posing as a local news reporter, and thus he managed to tick off another photo for the Straw Hat Bounty photos. Soon after, he went to submit his photos to his superiors at the Marines, and this is the actual first physical appearance we see of Attach. He is chewed out by his superiors for messing up getting Sanji's photo. For those wondering, this happened in episode 321. We don't see Attach for a while, but it's mentioned that at some point, a bit after the Marineford arc, that he was fired from the Marines. The reason being that he had messed up at least 57 photographs from leaving the lens on. How this man ever became captain of the photography department is beyond me. So what did Attach get up to next now that he is jobless? Well, he managed to get a job with the legendary Big News Morgan, of course, at the World Economic Journal, and he is seen in the Reverie arc, snapping pictures of all the royals. I won't explain the Reverie for all you people, but you can probably go check it out for yourself. And that's it for his story. Let's move on to his personality, which literally we saw about 2 minutes of Attach in the series. So it's hard to really tell what his personality would be like. But we do know he has a somewhat clumsy personality, as he forgot to take the cap lens off. But we do know, but we have to like kind of give props to the man. He has managed to get photographs of some of the most high profile pirates in the world. So he must have quite the brave personality, or stupid. You make your mind up on that. He's also confident, as he is surprised when he's told the lens was on by his superiors that time that I just mentioned before. So yeah, he was surprised when he submitted his photos of the Straw Hats, and he puts it down to a mystery as like a kind of, ooh, look at this, just the photo came out black, as opposed to a mistake, which tells me He may be a little bit stupid and perhaps even a little bit arrogant or naive. Yet again, make your mind up on that. Him being able to trick Nami, he lets me know he must have a bit of a snidey, sneaky personality and further proves his confidence. He most likely has an outgoing personality as he's not afraid to get out there and snap photos of people. He's seen praising the people he photographs, so he might have an outspoken personality and charmful. I reckon he could definitely put on the charm to get the best photograph of the person he's trying to photograph. And that's about it for his personality. Let's talk about his abilities and power. Actually, before we do that, I want to quickly talk about his creation as a character. Much like Minatomo, who I also made a recent character story on, Attach was a joke character made by Oda to explain how the Marines were able to get their hands on such high quality photos of all these notorious pirates, and thus Attach was born. He later on actually became part of the story, like Minatomo has, in a sense. So let's get on with the abilities and power segments. So as I mentioned before, Attach has managed to get photos of many pirates, and many of these people are not people you want to be around in the slightest, and would definitely be hard to even approach for a photo. Think of Kaido, for example, and his whole situation, how hard it would be to get a photograph of Kaido. So he must have great hiding. I would also bet he has great infiltration skills and evasive skills. Now, this brings up the question, does Attach have observation haki? That would explain a lot how he's able to get these photos by being able to observe the situation and take a spot to snap a photo, honestly. And I am joking here, but we may have a top tier hacky user, maybe not the level of category level, but just below it, or maybe he does, and he was the one able to get the category bounty photo if he has one. That's just a funny thought that I thought I would add in because it just kind of makes me laugh that such a character would have like this top tier observation hacky. We may just have the best observation hacker user right here. All hail Attach. I would love for Oda to make a little joke about this. I can imagine it happening in an SBS if a fan asks about Attach, Oda being like, yeah, Attach actually has some of the best observation hacky in the world. That would make me laugh. Now, what other skills could he potentially have? Well, let's speculate and take this all with a grain of salt, by the way. What would be really useful for Attach to have would be Geppo or the Skywalk, as many call it. It's a technique used by a select few well-trained government officials, but Marines have also shown to display Geppo and even a few pilots too. So it would be useful for Attach to have, but of course highly unlikely he would have this ability, but he is relatively old, so he would have plenty of time to master it, and he would have the means to acquire training, being part of the world government and having a high rank, even if it's in the photography department, it is a high rank, so maybe he would be able to access the people that could train him to do the Geppo or Skywalk, which is basically an ability that, well, lets the person walk in the sky, essentially. Now, let's talk about devil fruits. Now, we've seen two excellent devil fruits for stealth, and those are, of course, the Doa Doa no Mi, or the Door fruit, that allows the user to create doors they can enter, and the Suki Suki no Mi, I think it's called, or the Clear fruit, which is basically invisibility. There's actually one more fruit that out there that would be useful to have, and that is like, I can't remember its name, but it allows the user to be soundless if they're in a certain area. Don't want to reveal who has it. So with those taken, what's left? Well, there's the non-canon Mini no Mi, which enables the user to shrink to a small size, and this for me would be very useful for Attach to have, probably just under the clear fruit in terms of usefulness. There could be a devil fruit called like the blend fruit maybe, or the presence fruit that allows the user to blend into a crowd or lower their presence, making them hard to detect. That would be cool. But what I'd really like would be for Oda to give him like a joke devil fruit, as it would follow in the vein of him being a joke character. So here's a little task for you, the viewer. Make up a devil fruit you think would be perfect for Attach to have. It can be serious or silly. For silly, I'm going to go for the look fruit. It makes the person affected have to look at the ground for a while, maybe let's say an hour or so. Not the best. I'm sure you, the viewer, can do a lot better than that example. Now let's talk briefly about his combat abilities before I end the video. I would like to think he has gone through basic marine training, as it would be cool, and to be honest would be useful, as he is taking huge risks taking photographs of all these pirates. I wouldn't put his power past, let's say, Seaman Recruit, which is just above Chore Boy and is the second lowest rank in the Marines. Anyway, that's it for this video. I think I will cover big news Morgan next. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my channel for more anime and manga content such as One Piece, My Hero Academia, The Promised Neverland, and Dragon Ball, and the odd Dokkan Battle video too. Please like and subscribe, and see ya.